42 million annual visitors in Central Park to 21 million in Grand Central and 12 million on Broadway. New York City isn't just popular, it's unstoppable. Annually, we have 65 million people visit New York City alone, making it one of the most visited places on the planet. But just because it's the most visited, does that mean that it's worth your time? In today's video, I'm going to be going through the top 10 most visited places here in New York City, from least visited to most visited, and telling you if it is actually worth your time. We're going to be ranking this on a 5-star rating scale. 5 stars means absolutely, and 1 might as well skip it, because guess what? The most visited place might not actually be worth visiting. So let's get into it. The 10th most visited place in New York City, the Statue of Liberty, with 3 million annual visitors. Now, this was actually a gift from France to celebrate the American independence at the time. And a fun fact about it is the structure was actually built by Gustave Eiffel from the Eiffel Tower in Paris. Look at that. Maybe you didn't know that fun one. Tickets are around $25 to go to this one. So, is it worth spending $25? My honest opinion, no. I give this one a 3 out of 5 stars for visiting, and here's why. When you're at the Statue of Liberty, you can't really see the Statue of Liberty. You're so close to it that it's not really as iconic as it should be. What I recommend instead is to see it from the water or from the air. My favorite boat cruise to do this on is Classic Harbor Line. They have beautiful boat cruises that go right to the Statue of Liberty, and that's the best way to do it. So save the $25, skip the Statue of Liberty, and go see other things. That's the reality from a local New Yorker perspective. Y'all have your rights to make your own opinion. And we have the 9th most visited. That is the 9/11 Museum. And this is visited by a little bit over 3.5 million people annually, with the average ticket price being $36. Now, this is a very special place in the heart of New Yorkers because it symbolizes what happened on 9/11. It has all types of different artifacts and stories from there. It's very, very special, honestly quite sad. So if you don't want to cry, probably don't go to the 9/11 Memorial, but honestly, it's such an important part of our history that you really should see that. This, I'll give it 5 out of 5 stars. Absolutely worth visiting, because if 9/11 didn't happen, New York wouldn't be how it is today. And I think it's a really important piece of our history and something that every person visiting or living here should see at least once in your life. And our 8th most visited location is the Empire State Building, which has 4 million annual visitors and a ticket price of around $44 per ticket if you get the regular entry. This building was completed in 1931 during the Great Depression and was the world's tallest building for 40 years. It's most famous because it has appeared in literally like every movie about New York City of all time, most notably King Kong when the gorilla climbs to the top. But is it worth visiting? Well, it has its observation decks on the 86th floor and the 102nd floor, which doesn't make it the highest observation deck by any means. And honestly, when you're looking out, you don't even see the Empire State Building, which is a major part of the New York City skyline. So for me, I give it a 3 out of 5 stars. I don't think it's worth visiting because there's multiple other observation decks in the city. And yes, I know this is one of the most famous buildings in the entire city, so I totally understand why people go to see it. However, if you're going to see it because you think it has the best view in the city, that's not actually the case. In my opinion, you get the best view of the city from top of the rock because it's literally right in the center, and then you get that perfect picturesque view of the city skyline that includes the Empire State Building. The city skyline just doesn't look complete without the Empire State Building. That's the reality of it. On the flip side, I do think the Empire State Building has one of the best gift shops of all the observation decks. So if you're like my mom, who's probably watching this, hi Mom. and you love gift shops, you gotta visit the Empire State Building one. You can go in there without getting a ticket, and it's pretty amazing. And the 7th most visited place in the city, well, it is the Metropolitan Museum of Art with 5.5 million annual visitors and a ticket price of around $30 a person. The Met was founded in 1870 and houses over 5,000 years of original art from around the world. And let me tell you something, this museum is an absolute must visit. 5 out of 5 stars in my opinion. It is absolutely fascinating. They have all different types of really interesting exhibits, from fashion exhibits to Egyptian exhibits. You actually can see one of the original Egyptian temples here, preserved perfectly in the exact same conditions you would find in Egypt. And this is also where they have the Met Gala-like party right here. They set up tables all around here. I can't even imagine how amazing that must be. And there's 2 locations for this Met. There's the one on Central Park, and the other one is the Met Cloisters, which is in the upper part of the city, which is a whole other experience in itself. Either way, your ticket gets you entry to both of them, so you should definitely visit and add this to your New York bucket list. The 6th most visited location in New York is the 9/11 Memorial. This is different than the 9/11 Museum, although they are right next to each other. The 9/11 Memorial has over 6 million annual visitors and is free to visit, which is always a nice touch. And it should be, because this is truly a memorial. Here you're going to see the reflecting pools, which sits in the shadows of where the 2 towers once stood. It is a reflecting pool, so there's waterfalls going into the pools on either sides, and around it you see the names of all of those that were lost during this time. This is absolutely a must visit, 5 out of 5 stars, because this is such an important piece of New York history and a great way to pay tribute to those that were lost on 9/11. We're getting into the big leagues now, because we are at the 5th most visited attraction in New York, and wow, it jumps real fast, okay? The 5th most visited is Broadway. That's right, your favorite Broadway shows. Over 12 million people annually go to a Broadway show. And ticket prices for this can range as low as $39 I've seen to as high as, you don't even want to know, but several hundred. What? Depending on the show. Broadway is more than just lights. It's the beating heart of New York, and an absolute must-do when you're here, in my opinion, as well. I love a Broadway show. There's so many great ones right now. I would say it's hard to say, like, is this 5 stars, is this 1 star, because I think it depends on the Broadway show. But if you're gonna go to any of the shows I'm about to list, I say it's a perfect 5 star and you must do it. There are some shows though that are like, you don't wanna go to it. You don't wanna. I'm not gonna mention them because they probably already went out of business. Top shows that are 5 stars in my opinion. I just recently went to the Michael Jackson, the musical. That was incredible. The dancing, the singing, wow. The fact that they found a cast that can perform as well as MJ, well, as well, that's hard to say, but they're pretty spot on. They're pretty talented. Wicked, incredible music. A lot of people have seen Wicked. I mean, that's a classic. Lion King, love. Book of Mormon, hilarious. Book of Mormon, I only recommend if you're not offended by swear words and crude humor though, because it is written by the creators of South Park. Ooh, Moulin Rouge, another classic. Good one, really good. Moulin Rouge is great if you're not a traditional Broadway theater goer. For example, my husband loves Moulin Rouge because they incorporate a lot of modern day music into it. So maybe if you're dragging someone along that's not really a Broadway person, I would do a Moulin Rouge. But overall, 5 out of 5 stars for those shows. You gotta see a Broadway show when you're here. You gotta. The 4th most visited attraction in New York is Grand Central with 21 million annual visitors. And this is free to visit, which is super cool. It was completed in 1913, and it is famous because it is not only the most important transportation hub in the city, but also it's just so beautiful architecture with its celestial ceiling. You have the clock right in the center. You have so much going on in here. There's the whispering gallery where you can actually hear someone talk from the other side, which is really cool. You also have tons of restaurants in here and even a secret bar that used to be an office for a financier. That's called the Campbell Bar, by the way, and I really love it. This is a spot that I think everyone should see once. So what would I rate it? Well, it's hard to say. I think you need to visit it. I don't think it's the most center of your trip. I will give it a 4 out of 5 stars. only because compared to the other things on the list, I'm trying to be fair here because I do think it's worth visiting and it's very, very beautiful and it has a really great backstory. So you gotta do it, but allocate like an hour just to explore. And after that, check it off your list and go on to other sites that might be more worth all the time you're spending there. Either way, it has a very interesting history. And if you're interested in learning more about that history, you can join my Must See Manhattan tour where we take you to that and other famous places that are on this list. Tickets are linked below. The third most visited place in the city is the Brooklyn Bridge, which comes in at 42 million vehicles, 11 million pedestrians, and 1 million cyclists. Woo! That's a lot. It's a lot. It's pretty impressive if you think about it because it was completed in 1883 using zero electricity. It was the largest suspension bridge in the world at the time, truly a marvel of the world. A fun fact about this is in 1884, P.T. Barnum, that's the circus guy, you know him, he marched 21 elephants and 17 camels across the Brooklyn Bridge to prove its stability. Isn't that cool? It's also a great publicity stunt for the circus, FYI. This is pretty cool, I have to say. As a photographer and someone with like an eye, I just love taking pictures, so I love the Brooklyn Bridge for that reason. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 5 out of 5 because it is just such an important view of New York City, and I think everyone should do it, whether you cycle across it, go over it in a taxi, kind of like, that's a very like New York movie moment, or simply walk across it. It's worth visiting and worth seeing. I like biking across it, especially now that they have the bike paths, which is a nice bonus. 5 out of 5. Our second most visited location in New York City is Central Park with 42 million annual visitors. And this is free to visit, which is awesome. The great thing about Central Park is that it was built in 1850. And when I say built, I really mean landscape because the entire thing was artificially made by Calvert Vaux and Frederick Law Olmsted, who designed it. And it was the first public park in the US to be made, which is really cool. It's 843 acres and has all different types of experiences, winding paths. It has the Bethesda Terrace, the Bow Bridge. It has the Great Lawn. There's theater in the summer. There's concerts there. There's the Central Park Zoo, for God's sake. There's also the Metropolitan Museum of Art actually inside of Central Park. And there's really not a season that I wouldn't recommend because they're all different experiences. So I have to give this one 5 out of 5 stars. It's perfect for visitors and the locals alike. And it's a very important part of New York City. And can I get a drum roll? Was that a good drum? Because we are at the #1 attraction in New York that's most visited, and it is, you're not gonna believe it, just kidding, it's Times Square. You probably knew that, right? You probably knew that. Times Square has over 50 million people annually visiting it. That's absurd. That's like pretty much 1 million people a week walk through Times Square, and it's completely free to visit. So is it worth visiting? Well, let's go into a little bit of the history and really dig in and figure that out. So in 1904, this area was named from Longacre Square to Times Square when the New York Times, the newspaper, moved there and established its headquarters there. That's why it's called Times Square. Fun fact, right? I love fun facts. As a tour guide, I love fun facts. It's gone from gritty to glamorous to today being the headquarters for Broadway shows and many just hidden gem restaurants. I'm kidding. It's filled with all chains. Chains everywhere. So is it worth visiting? Of course it's worth visiting. There's nothing like Times Square on this planet. However, that doesn't change my rating. I'm giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. Why? Because first off, Times Square is only worth going for one of these, a selfie. You go there for a selfie, you take your picture, and then you go to a Broadway show. Besides that, it's just filled with all different types of chain restaurants and branded crap. It's very commercialized, but at the same time, you can't come to New York without seeing Times Square. It is unlike anywhere else on the planet. My final score is 3 out of 5 stars. Let me know in the comments. Do you agree with me on these star ratings, or were you surprised by how many people visited any of these locations? And that's it for today's video. Now, if you're visiting New York, check out my tours, watch my other videos, and I'll see you next time. Bye.